There's something I want you to understand about creating animations. Not only is it important that you include the transition property and duration on the element, you also need to be aware of where you're placing the transition properties. So this is the last exercise that we had created, and we have a box, and when we hover over the box, it's going to expand out to 200 pixels and change colors. And when I move my mouse away from the object, it just pops back to the original status. Watch what happens when I simply take the exact same code that we just used, but I grab the transition property and the transition duration and cut these and place them, instead of on the hover state, on the regular state of the box. If we save now and we return to the browser and refresh, when I hover over, the behavior is the same, but when I mouse away, now you can see that the animation occurs on the mouse hover and on the mouse out. And that's because I've moved the transition properties to the box. So this is actually happening. It's transitioning at the regular state of the box. So it transitions from the regular state. It looks at all of these properties and it says, I'm going to transition all of the properties that are different in a different state. So our hover is acting as the different state. This is when the box changes. And two of these properties, the background color and the width property, have changed. So when we hover, you can see that the animation still occurs as the shape returns to its original color and size. So this is an important distinction. You can drastically alter your animation depending on where you place the transition property. This is something that I find beginners doing commonly when they're learning CSS3 animation. Oftentimes, they will want to put the transition properties on the hover effect as opposed to putting it on the regular effect. So just keep this in mind if you want your animation to round trip and to move and then return back to its original position. The other thing that I want to point out is that we've talked about the required fields of transition property and transition duration. You can also include these in a shorthand specification. So instead of writing this out twice, transition-property and transition-duration, I can just go ahead and specify just transition. So I'll just comment out what I have. And if we just write transition, and then after the colon, we can put all, and we can put the time of 1 second. The animation is still going to work in the exact same way, but as you can see, this is just a little more consolidated and a little more concise to just use transition instead of specifying transition-property, transition-duration. So I would encourage you to use the shorthand property since it is more concise.